When Chris Watts first sat down across from the investigators, he looked like any other concerned husband and father. Calm, cooperative, mildly anxious. But as the minutes ticked by, something wasn't right. His words didn't match his emotions. His eyes wandered. His body betrayed his voice. What began as a routine missing person report would soon unravel into one of the most disturbing family murder cases in American history. In this episode, we're going to take you deep into the body cam footage and interrogation room recordings, step by step. We'll break down what he said, what he didn't say, and how the experts spotted the red flags before Chris ever confessed. The first call and initial body cam footage. On the morning of August 13th, 2018, Frederick Police Department Officer Coonrod responded to a welfare check request at the Watts home. Shanann's friend, Nicole Atkinson, had grown concerned after Shanann missed a doctor's appointment and wasn't answering her phone. From the very first moment Watts appeared on camera, seasoned investigators and armchair detectives alike noticed subtle red flags. What seemed oddly calm, given the circumstances. His wife and 2 daughters were supposedly missing, yet he was chatting with officers, checking his phone and mentioning mundane household details, like not wanting to break the garage door. When Coonrod asked him questions, Watts answered, but without the kind of emotion one might expect. He didn't call out Shanann's name. He didn't seem panicked. He even mentioned, "I hope she didn't take the kids to a friend's house," in a way that sounded more speculative than concerned. Even more suspicious was how Watts redirected the conversation. Rather than focus on finding his family, he talked about their marriage problems and Shanann's emotional state. It was subtle, but the shift in blame began early. Key observations: lack of visible emotional distress, avoidance of eye contact, quick to offer explanations, and shift focus. Rehearse sounding phrases. Inside the interrogation room, Day 1. Later that day, Chris voluntarily went to the Frederick Police Department to provide a more detailed statement. Investigators, including Agent Tammy Lee and CBI Agent Graham Coder, began with a friendly, non-threatening approach. This was intentional. It's a common technique used to lower a suspect's defenses. Chris began recounting events from the night before. He mentioned Shanann coming home late from a business trip. He said they had a civil conversation and that he left for work early in the morning while she was still asleep. Nothing about his story raised any immediate alarm bells, except, again, his demeanor. Investigators asked about the timeline. Chris was vague. He avoided going into specifics. When asked about their marriage, he admitted things had been strained, but insisted they were trying to work through it. Throughout the interview, Chris displayed what psychologists call incongruent effect. That means his facial expressions and body language didn't match the emotional weight of his words. He talked about his missing children with the same tone one might use when describing a misplaced set of keys. Body language red flags. Fidgeting with his hands, touching his face repeatedly, leaning back and distancing himself from the table, forced smiles and dry eyes. Expert insight, what the pros saw. Body language experts and criminal psychologists later dissected these early interviews, pointing out classic indicators of deception. 1. Overcompensation. Chris tried too hard to be cooperative. His friendliness felt unnatural, like someone trying to play a role. 2. Deflection. He often answered questions with questions or shifted topics subtly. 3. Duping delight. On a few occasions, Chris smiled at inappropriate times, a subconscious thrill that liars sometimes feel when they think they're getting away with it. 4. Lack of genuine grief. Genuine cry involves facial muscle engagement and tears. Chris had neither. Tammy Lee later said she felt something was off from the beginning. She noticed how Chris would go quiet when they brought up specific topics, particularly when mentioning the kids. The polygraph session, breaking the facade. The following day, Chris agreed to take a polygraph test administered by Agent Tammy Lee. Before the test, she told him plainly, "This is not going to end well for you if you're lying. Despite his calm exterior, Chris failed the polygraph spectacularly. The test revealed major inconsistencies in his story. Afterward, Lee confronted him, saying, "There's no way you didn't know what happened to your family." At that moment, cracks began to show. Chris leaned over, silent, defeated. But he didn't confess, not yet. Instead, he asked to speak with his father. This delayed tactic gave investigators time to regroup and apply more pressure. They knew he was on the brink. Confession under pressure. When Chris's father, Ronnie Watts, arrived, the tone shifted. Investigators left the room, giving them privacy. Chris finally admitted to his father that he had killed Shanann, but claimed she had killed the children first. It was a lie, of course, but it was the first crack in the dam. Investigators returned and gently challenged his version of events. As the hours passed, the truth unraveled further. Chris admitted to smothering his daughters and strangling Shanann. His motivation remained murky, but the facts were finally coming to light. This moment, the confession, is a textbook example of how psychological pressure, strategic questioning, and emotional leverage can lead to truth in an interrogation room. The role of empathy and strategy in the interrogation. What made this interrogation effective wasn't aggression. It was empathy. Agents Tammy Lee and Graham Coder maintained a calm, understanding tone throughout. They gave Chris space to speak, used strategic silences, and gently peeled back the layers of his lies. It's a powerful lesson in human behavior. The truth doesn't always come out through force. It often emerges through connection, even with a killer. Final thoughts. The tells were always there. Looking back, every part of Chris Watts' behavior, his initial composure, his inconsistencies, his body language, pointed to guilt, but he believed he could lie his way out. The police interview footage is more than just a record of an investigation. It's a chilling portrait of a man trying to wear a mask of innocence, only to be undone by the tiny, involuntary betrayals of the body and mind. For those studying criminal psychology, this case offers a disturbing yet invaluable lesson. You can rehearse your words, but the body never lies. If you found this breakdown insightful, make sure to subscribe for our next deep dive. The Polygraph Test, how it broke Chris Watts' story. And let us know in the comments, did you spot the red flags before confession? Stay aware, stay curious.